Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage for the Monday night live stream. This is after time change, too, so it's a little bit different feeling. Glad you're here. I hope that you all had a good weekend, a good week, and I'm looking forward to a good week as we go forward. But I hate the time change. Just hate it, hate it, hate it. I don't think we should be doing this anymore. I think we can probably all of us agree on that, but it has to happen anyway. It has to happen because it's some sort of law that was created a long time ago, right? Well, doesn't mean we have to like it. So it is Monday night, 7 o'clock, and I do this live stream at Mondays at 7 and Thursdays at 3 p.m. in the afternoon to try to catch people in other countries just to try to make it easier for them. So if you're new to the stream, I welcome you. If you're old to the stream, I welcome you. Glad everybody is here. Usually we have a pretty decent turnout, anywhere from 30 to 50 or 60 people. And, if you have a subject you want to talk about, we try to focus on classic cars, Mustangs, Camaros, Mopars, Studebakers, Corvairs, whatever, But if you have something you want to bring up, by all means, ask it. We'll try to get the answer for you. Hopefully, if I can't, then there's usually people over here on the side panel who are pretty knowledgeable. Some a lot more knowledgeable than I am in some of this stuff, and they can help out as well. So let's move forward and see how this goes. Um, it's been a decent day here. Sun's been shining. It hit like 70 degrees here in Georgia, which is phenomenal at this point. But let me see who has shown up for tonight. Terry Keithley, evening, Barry and all. Please hit the thumbs up and like button. Terry, you've been early most of the time. I'm going to give you the Terry bell. Yes, hit the thumbs up by all means. Try to get this thing going and get people coming in and seeing what we have going on. Jerry checking in from the Money Pit in Middle Tennessee. Very nice fall day. Thumbs up. Yes, it is. I'd rather have, even though it's the fall, if it's 70 degrees, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I'm just not in it for the rain. I don't like cold, wet, rainy. Dave Britton checking in. Glad you're here. Dawn's Manufacturing. I'm here and early to boot. Hello, everyone. Betsy says hi. And I know you've been working on Betsy, so I'm sure there's good progress going on there. Mr. Cyrano, 71 Mach 1 heater core is kicking my rear end. Yeah, I do not envy you. Do not envy you. Yeah. That's one of those ones where you go, you know what? I could just loop this heater hose right back to the water pump. And we don't need heat, but I can see the frustration with that. Rick Stevenson, hope that everyone is having a wonderful Monday. Yes. Roger checking in from next door. Glad you're here. Rick Gain, hope everyone is well tonight. Glad you're here, Rick. Bob Shoemaker, evening all from OK, Oklahoma. He didn't say that. I said okay, but Oklahoma. Rick coming down to the wire. 65 should be home late this week, early next week. That's a plus. Glad to hear that. Arthur, evening from Mobile, Alabama. Glad you're here, man. Robert checking in. Evening all. Don't get too loud. That better half is in the living room trying to take a nap while watching. Oh, okay. Is she taking a nap from watching? Like we're that kind of boring that she just falls asleep, Maybe that'll help her get some sleep. Crash Rider, hello from warm and dark southern Indiana. Yeah. I hate the time change. Hate it. That's one thing that we need to fix. Just fix it. Forget about it. Yeah, Arthur, time change sucks. Yes. Wally, good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is well. Glad you're here. Dave Britton, right now we are on normal time. Yeah, and I don't want normal time. Let's go the other way. Put it back the way it was. Just quit messing with it. I don't want it on this time. I know that much. So if this is normal, I don't want normal. I want Abby normal. Let's go back to Abby normal. Bob Knoll. Hey, Bear, hope you had a good weekend. Bob here up in Detroit. Glad you're here, Bob. And Robert, I'm all for daylight savings time year round, so we have more light in the evening. Yeah, that's how it should be. That's how it should be. We don't need more light in the morning. Definitely don't need more light in the morning. Rick Stevenson, I enjoyed the video of the repair of the Honda. Yes, yeah, that's going to come along pretty well, I think. I'm already on working on a third video. I have the second one filmed. I just have to edit it. It'll probably be up on Wednesday, and then the next one coming out. So, yeah, I think it's going to go pretty well. Shane checking in. Glad you're here. And Wally, I hear Ontario may drop daylight savings time next year. They passed legislation this year. So if they drop it, what does that mean? Does it go to what we're at now all year long, or do we just stay? I guess the other way is daylight savings time. I guess I don't know. Do we just stay there? That's where it gets confusing. Andrew checking in, Grease Rookie Garage. Glad you are here. And Isaac, don't always catch you live, but in your neck of the woods this weekend, stopped at Stone Mountain for the first time. So cool. Yeah. So Stone Mountain is pretty cool. It is a very cool place to visit. They do a lot of stuff there now. Glad you enjoyed it. Dave Conville checking in from New Jersey. And Rick, super sticker, man. Awesome. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Richard Byrne, hi everyone. Leave the time on daylight savings time. Okay, yeah, the way it was this past week. Yeah, leave it alone. Dave, did you just say Abby Normal? Now I'm going to have to go watch that. Yeah, I did say Abby Normal. It's Frankenstein, by the way. Dawn, here in Oregon, the change back to regular time is so kids aren't walking to school in the dark. Yeah. Well, I don't know that that's an advantage for the whole country to do it anymore. I just don't see it as an advantage for everybody to be on that kind of time. Wally, not sure this unfortunately is normal time. Daylight saving time is when we move it forward. Yeah. And that's where it needs to be, in my opinion. I don't, the rumor was years ago that they did it for like farmers so that they could have daylight and go out and milk the cows in the morning or something. That's a rumor. I don't know if that's true or not, but we have technology now. We have energy. We have lights. You don't even if you talk to a farmer, they're like, it doesn't really matter anymore. So I don't know what the advantage is. I don't know what the real advantage is anymore for that, but I'm just don't need it. Don't need it. Okay. So how is everybody doing? Like I said, it's been a pretty nice day here. And let's see. Rick has asked me a question. Let's get Rick's question. Is a 65 supposed to require being locked with a key? Lock comes up if you push down and close the door. I think the trick to that, Rick, is you lock the door. When you go to close the door, I know this works on a lot of them. You push the button in and then you shut it. Try that and see if that works. I think that's how a lot of the older cars were designed, that you would hold the button in and shut the door, I think. But I can't remember. It's been so long. But I know that there were some cars that were like that. Made it a little tricky to shut the door, actually. So you might just get used to using the key. I remember I had a 72 Chevy pickup that it would not lock with the key unless I pushed the door in and relieved the pressure off of the latch. So that was another thing. You had to push the door with your hand on, and then you could lock it. So some of them had really tricky ways of functioning. Jerry, daylight savings time came in the 70s to conserve energy. I'm not sure we saved any money or energy. Okay. Well, I have another comment here. Dave Britton says Google search came up with this. Germany established daylight savings time in May 1916 as a way to conserve fuel during World War I. The rest of Europe came on board shortly thereafter. Well, so we have a Google search, and like I said, I don't know when the U.S. adopted daylight savings time, but Jerry was saying in the 70s. I was thinking it was before that. Let's see. Dawn doesn't work on a 65 and 66. That feature was new in 67. Okay. Thank you, Dawn. See? That's why we talk about this stuff. Because I remember, you could do that. Hold the button in and shut the door, and it would allow the lock to function. So apparently, the 65 and 6 has to be used with the key. Rick says I had to buy lock cylinders to get the gasket, not sold separately. Anyone need new door locks for a 65, 66 minus the gaskets? I don't know that there's going to be many takers on that, but if somebody needs some new door locks, Rick has a pair. Nope. Wait a minute. Shane, John Belushi, was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Shut up. He's on a roll. Exactly. Yeah. We got to wait for Clark to show up so we can talk about Christmas turkeys. Wait a minute. Dawn. New feature in 67 was lane change turn signal switch. Really? Now, how was that? Was that was it an optional thing, or was it just a feature? Because I don't know how that would what would be different than a regular turn signal. Because when I think of if you just put some pressure on the turn signal switch, normally it'll click, and you let go of it and shuts off without having to turn the wheel. So I don't know, maybe that's something I haven't heard before, but I believe you. I believe you, Don. Dave Britton, on February 9th, 1942, President Franklin Roosevelt instituted year-round daylight savings time called wartime. See? Thank you, Dave. Thank you for that bit of information. I think we're well past that time now. All right. Now, Jerry says daylight saving time actually began in the U.S. in 1966. Somebody's got to know. I'll take your word for it. Mike Wencho. Hello, Mike from Akron, Ohio, watching. Glad you're here, Mike. Don says, was a feature. In 66, you have to fully engage switch past the detent. See, there's some more information. I always assumed that the turn signals had that little kind of soft area where you could just push down gently on the switch and it would do that automatically. Apparently that was, like you're saying, the 67 feature. So cool. Good to know. Good to know. Danny Asmaro. I don't know how to say, I guess that's how you say it. I have a question. I have restored my 68 Mustang convertible from ground up. All the suspension, new floor, everything is replaced. My only issue is the car is not sitting straight. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by not sitting straight? Not sitting level? I'm going to assume it's left front low, right rear high. Tell me if I'm wrong. Let me if I'm wrong. So left front, is it low? And right rear is high? Let me know. Mr. Cyrano, hey Mike, I'm a little south of Akron, Ohio. Okay. We'll get back to Danny's question in just a second. Let's get some more information on what is going on with this car. So, somebody had mentioned about the Honda. This is what I'm working on right now. The Honda that's behind me. I've already got I'm test fitting the fenders right now. Core support is just kind of sitting there. It's not welded in yet. And today I managed to straighten out the AC condenser. So the the car got hit and the AC condenser was really all kinds of twisted. But thankfully they make them out of a very soft aluminum. They're like an annealed aluminum. And it didn't take much effort. And I got that thing straightened back out. So that's a big plus. I'd never really tried that before, but it worked. So it worked. Rick, according to Alexa, daylight saving time was instituted in the U.S. in 1918 and repealed in 1919. Okay. So there's some more information. Thank you, Rick. Okay, so Danny is saying, no, it's from side to side. So basically, we're kind of thinking the same thing, I guess. If you're looking at the back of the car, just say that. If you're looking at the back bumper, is the right side higher than the left side? Is that where we're at with that? And then if you look at the front bumper, is it the opposite? The problem is, um, that's always been an issue, I think. I mean, there's some cars that sit really nice and level. Um, but like even my 68, it sits basically when you're saying not side to side, my left front sits low and my right rear sits high. So it's kind of like canted towards the left front. Let's see what he says here. No, he says no, or not back to front. If you look at the car from the front and back, it's not sitting level. Okay. I think we're on not not back to front. Yeah. That's what I was saying. So if you're standing behind the car and you're looking at the back bumper, it's higher on one side than on the other, right? That's There seems to be issue with suspension on all these. Um, I've seen people actually take and swap leaf springs to try to compensate for that. Replace coil springs. Um, there's not. It feels like there's not a whole lot you can do unless you have a very matched set of springs. So like I said, my 68, the right rear is higher than the left side. What am I going to do about it? Well, I don't know if I'm going to do anything about it. And I don't know if it's just the way it is. Now the car's not been wrecked or anything. It's not like bent out of shape. Um, but really, I've seen some other fixes where um, people have put a shim block underneath one of the springs in the rear. So, if the car is sitting high, and I'm trying to remember, the springs are underneath the axle, right? And so, whichever side is sitting higher, let's say the passenger side is sitting higher. If you put a shim block between the axle or the spring and the mount plate on the axle, if it's off half an inch, I mean, you could put a half-inch spacer in there, and that will, in effect, lower it. Let me think. I got to get to my vision right. Got to get my vision right. But you see what I'm saying? Whichever you can offset it with a block to help level it out. May not be the easiest or best way to do it, um, but there are uh, limitations. Leaf springs. If you could buy a set of leaf springs that don't have the exact same arch in them, you would hope they do. But I'm sure there's probably some other information up there that others can share with that. Dave says cars often sit high on the driver's side when empty to compensate for when the driver's in the car. Yeah, see, my 68 is not doing that. It's sitting low on the driver's side. Don says yes, and the fuel tank sits to the passenger side. Well, that's a good point. Her Scrambler says, or at a leaf. Yeah, I mean, you could do that. That would help because it gives you some thickness and boost it up a little. Yeah. Dave Britton, Danny needs to have an adult sit in the driver's seat, then see how it sits. Well, there you go. That might not hurt, but I know my car, it sits left side low. And Shane says that's why he named his car Eileen. Let's go back to Bob Knoll. Daylight savings time started. It was enacted in 1918. Dave Britton, looking forward to the Honda rebuild. I think you said you were not going to panel. You were not going to panel match the paint. What do you mean by that? Are you going to shoot the whole car? No, I will panel paint. I will not paint the whole car. No. I'm going to paint the panels individually. So I'll paint the fender by itself, the hood, the hood, fender, bumper cover, those pieces will be painted by themselves off the car and then bolted to the car. So that's the plan. I'm not going to paint this whole car. It has hail damage on the roof, the trunk lid. It's there's too much involved, and it's just going to be a driver. So it's not like it's going to be any kind of show car. Rick, does the condenser hold a vacuum after being reshaped back to normal? Yeah. The thing is, the condenser has a charge on it, right? So if I were to replace the charge or replace the condenser, I have to crack the system open. You do that, you lose all your R134, then you have to get it vacuumed, recharged, blah, blah, blah. If I could straighten the thing out, I'm saving that effort. And that's what I did. I didn't have to, none of the lines were broke, no cracks. I tested it before I even took the car apart. I had the AC on, it was blowing cold air. I said, okay, that works. So just straighten the thing out. And it really, I won't say it's like butter, but it's kind of like butter. They bend really easily. Don's talking about the angled car, and he's saying Betsy was like that once, turned out to be the sway bar, which had a twist. Once he adjusted the link lengths, the car sat level. So that may be something to look at. Well, that's, if you have a sway bar issue as well. Let me get back down here. See where we're at. Let's see. Yeah, Rick. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. The AC is still charged, so I want to leave that in there. Jerry, my 66 was setting low on the driver's side from the rear. I added a 3/4 inch spacer on the left to bring it back into the usual setting. So there's an example. Jerry added a spacer to reset the side to side on the car. Jeff, thank you, man. You are so awesome, and I mean that. I do. I appreciate it. I appreciate it very, very much. Rick, Barry, you got leaf springs that were meant for a British car that's right-hand drive. Well, I didn't change the leaf springs in Jade. I kept what was in there, and I have debated on pulling them out, swapping them over, and see what happens. The only thing I did different on Jade is I cut the front coils in the front. I think I cut half a coil out just to give a little tiny bit of drop in the front. A lot of times these cars will sit with the front end kind of high, not like crazy high, but they will sit slightly higher in the front, in the nose. And so to alleviate that, I cut half a coil out, and it worked. That's all I wanted to do, just enough to kind of level it out a bit. But yeah, I still have an issue with the back, or the whole thing sitting left front low, which in effect is right rear high. So I'm going to have to play with that and see if I can't resolve that issue. There's still some things I need to do. I'll bring that up. I took it to 2 car shows this past weekend. They were small, little cruise-ins. One was for the local VFW, and they were doing a veterans car show type of thing. And so there was like 20 cars there, and it was cold and windy, and it was nothing to it. It was fun. And then they also had one at their local pizza joint, and there was probably 50 cars there, I guess, 40 or 50 cars. And, there was some nice stuff there. Car got a few looks, and I had a sign in the window that said not finished, because I don't have the grill in it yet, and I don't have the wiper arms, and I don't have the horn button. So I just was kind of left it like that. And I did not, I didn't open the hood because the engine's all dusty, and I'm not into detailing the engine stuff. I don't, if you're driving a car, it's going to get oil leaks or dirt and stuff like that under the hood. I don't mind cleaning it up some, but it's just not my highlight to go crazy cleaning up the underside of the engine or the inside of the engine bay. Danny says good one. Okay, I don't know what was a good one, but I don't remember where we were at. Unless he's talking about the right-hand drive. Dave, Barry, I have never seen anyone deal with minor hail damage like that. Would you just skim it and block it in that situation? You know, yeah, basically, there's probably 100 little tiny dents on a roof of this car, and there's probably 100 on the deck lid. And other than buying you can buy a new deck lid cheap, but you'd have to reskin the roof to make it or get PDR in there. But I would sand it and just skim coat it with rage. Just build it all the way across and then block sand it, get a smooth pattern, throw some primer on it. But I'm not that motivated. This car, like I said, it's a 2004 Honda. It's just not worth the effort. Um, just not worth it. Don, check the weight on each wheel. It will tell the story. That's might be easier said than done. You know, I don't have any kind of scales that I could do that with, but I get your point. That would definitely tell you where the weight is going. So, good idea, just hard to implement. Rick, put a vinyl top on the roof of the Honda to get rid of the hail marks. That's a good idea. Whoops. Wait a minute. Come on, Bell. There you go. That's a good idea, Rick. Maybe I could use some of that. Don't they have something that's like a spray? You could just spray it on. Don't even put a real vinyl top on. Just kind of textured paint you can put on top of it. Could do that, I guess. Dave, is the Honda car you bought to flip? Yeah, basically. Yeah. I got a heck of a deal on the car, and so once I got it here and I realized that it ran and everything worked, why not? Just get it put together and get it drivable and put it up for sale. Jerry, what about a vacuum dent removal for hail damage? Also, I've heard the dry ice may pull the dents out. Yeah, there's a variety of things you can use. They do make these little dent pullers that you glue to the dent, and then you kind of pull them up by hand. You got a little manual tool that pulls on a post and then you peel it off. It's like a rubberized glue, a hot glue gun. Basically, it's hot glue, and you peel that off. I'll say this: if you're not trained in doing that stuff, you could probably do more harm than good, because you can actually create what we would call an outie. All dents are innies unless they're sticking up. Then it's an outie, and now you've got problems because now you have a high point that you're going to have to fight with. So we've used those dent puller type things, but yeah, it's you really have to know what you're doing with this metal because it's so thin. I would be more than happy to just skim coat it with body filler and sand it and prime it if I were trying to, really make it super nice, but it's just not worth the effort. Shane, Dent Wizard. I seen Dent Wizard take hundreds of dents out of cars on a used car lot after a hailstorm. Hundreds. I've seen them take thousands of dents out. Yeah. We had at the body shop, I think it was Dent Wizard, in fact. I think it was Dent Wizard, that came to our shop, and we had, I don't know how many cars we brought in and out of the shop with them there. And man, it was impressive what they could fix. Really impressive. And I was trying to watch and learn, and I'm like, I know I can do this, but you talk about patience. Oh my gosh. These guys are as patient as can be with that stuff. I don't know. I'd rather just swipe it with filler and sand it and put some primer on it. Her Scrambler, get good money for used cars right now. Yes. Yeah. And that's why part of the reason I want to get this, fixed and out of the way. And also my son's Mazda 3. which still has a check engine light, but amazingly enough, I got it to clear long enough to get an emissions test done. Whether that makes it more sellable or not, I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest with people and say, look, it's got a check engine light on, but there are certain counties where around us they don't require emissions, and the car runs like a champ. I mean, it runs fantastic, but it would have to probably go to a county that they just need a car to drive and don't worry about emissions. Hiram, darker a given paint color is, the more bad bodywork would show up. Yes, definitely true. And that's where like this Honda is. I mean, I think all Hondas were this color, weren't they? Some sort of a gold. Um, I, I mean, I've seen the most. I think almost all of them were something like this color. There were some that were black and white. I don't know, but it seemed like the most they sold were these gold colors. And probably had I gone to a junkyard that had some of these, they might have very well had a fender that I needed. But I think the fender I bought for this car, I mean, it might have been $30 for the fender or something like that. I know the hood was 90, I think. I'd have to find my receipts. I don't know where I put them. I have all the receipts for this car, but I don't think I've spent. I don't think I spent $500 in parts. I don't think so. I don't think so. So I don't know what the market is bringing for an 04 Honda, but it's clean on the inside, runs great, has 4 brand new tires on it. Somebody will buy it, drive it to work every day, and be happy about it. And I'll be happy for them. But the Mazda, I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. It's got that some sort of air leak or whatever, and I can't find it. So I'm probably going to be done with that car. Got to keep moving forward. Drive on, right? Drive on. Yeah. So, let's see. Got the Mustang we talked about, the car show and different stuff that's got to happen with it. I was thinking there was something. Something. A guy was asking me about the car at the car show, and I can't remember what the conversation was right now. But he had some sort of good question that I was going to share tonight, and I don't remember what it was. Anyway, the next step on this little Honda, like I said, I did the teardown video earlier, and I did the second video is getting the core support off the car. And so the third video I'm working on right now is getting the condenser straight, and I'm going to get the core support back in the car, and then I'll move on from there. So I'm kind of on the test phase of making things fit right now. Let's see. Boogie Bum. Hi, everyone from Nashville. Checking in late. Glad you're here. Mr. Cyrano, get ready for tax season. That's when I sell work cars. That's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all. Not a bad idea. Let me see what else I have. Hold on just a second. I am going to send out an invite. We're going to try another guest appearance tonight and see how that works. Shane, emissions is a state money-making magic gimmick. Majority of PA doesn't have it, so how does that make the air cleaner? Yeah, that's exactly right. It's just a way to make some money. I mean, if it doesn't pass emissions, well, you can't get your tag, and then you have to take it to somebody and get it fixed, and blah 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 blah. So everybody's turning some profit on that. Brian, I'm here, but late, but here. Hope all are well. Glad you're here, Brian. And Hiram, I once ruined a little bit of leather in a 98 Lexus ES300 with a high pH alkaline. I'm not sure what that word is. pH high alkaline. I don't know I don't know if that's a real word, Hiram. I don't know how to say that. I made some occasional dumb mistakes and learned the hard way. Yes. Yeah, I think we all have done that. Made some sort of dumb mistake that helps us, down the road. Michael Pagliaroni, what is the S code on the Mazda? I can look it up on Pro Demand. It's P. Gosh, PO or P1077 and P1087. Those are the two variables that I've had. So I know the 77 went away and it became an 87. So I think it's 1087, but I know it was 1077. Either way, it's lean off of bank one. Lean off of bank one. So if you want to look that up, that'd be fantastic. All right, we have a guest here in just a second. I see you, Wally. Let me see what else we have. D. Hodgson. Just looking at starting a 4-door Model A project and looking for info on installing all wood. Where would you suggest start acquiring that info on tips and tricks and step by step? That is a good question. I know when I did mine, I don't know if I videoed all that. I don't remember. I don't know if you've seen my videos on that, but I know that it was almost self-explanatory as to how the pieces went. When I took it apart, I documented everything, where the screws came out, what length they were, all that sort of thing. So if you haven't taken it apart yet, that's your biggest thing. Look at where the screws are, what length they are, take pictures and some videos, because the kits are really nice. I got mine through Mike's Affordable. So if you haven't looked them up yet, Mike's Affordable. They're in Georgia, and that's where I had my kit. And it was, I stained it, and not really stained it. I cleared it or varnished or whatever, and put it all together. And I think it fit really nice, actually. Boogie Bum. It finally happened over the weekend. Replaced the fuel pump, rebuilt carburetor, and after 8 years of sitting in the garage, my 68 Mustang is running again. That's a good sign. That is a good sign. Hiram says it's like shampoo ingredients. Oh, okay. And Brian says suffocants is soap. All right. Rick Gain, in New Jersey, they don't care if your car is working brakes when you take it through inspection. The only thing they care about is emissions. Yeah, unfortunately. And Nick is checking in. I'm glad you're here, Nick. Okay, we're going to have a conversation with a guy who has a really great-looking car sitting behind him. Not me. I've got a piece of crap Honda behind me. But let's see. Let's bring Wally onto the stream. How you doing, Wally?
I'm doing well, everybody. How you doing, Barry?
I'm surviving.
That's good to hear.
How's the car?
Sorry?
How's the car coming?
The car is coming along really well. I was following Jade episode 76, your video that was about the tail light assembly. So I've got the tail lights are in and the lettering is in. And there was something that I had run across, and I was going to get your opinion on it. As we all know, we're supposed to drill those holes into the back trunk lid with a 1/8 inch drill bit. And that way there you put the little inserts and then you can put the lettering in. Well, what I had done, I drilled it with a 1/8 inch bit, then I painted the darn car and the paint gets in that hole. And then I go in there with a 1/8 inch bit and I have to rip all my paint out. And I'm thinking to myself, what would Barry do? And I was thinking, if you're going to drill your own holes in the back of your trunk lid to put your lettering in, should we drill it a little oversized, let's say like a 5/30 seconds? No, shaking the head. Okay, I had made the comment earlier because, I ended up having to do what you did. I ended up reaming out my paint and having to go get some paint and get in there and put paint in the hole and then put the clips back in and then put the letters back on. And I thought, there's got to be something better than this. I thought, if you rip it open to like a 5/30 seconds, which is only a 32nd of an inch bigger than an 1/8.
Yeah, I wouldn't take that chance. The inserts are designed for an 1/8 inch hole. And so the difficulty is, if you went with a 5/30 seconds, how do you know you put the right amount of paint in there to make it hold?
What I'm thinking, you drill the 5/30 seconds, you paint the car, paint gets into that 5/30 seconds hole and fills it up anyways. You still got to go and ream it with your 1/8, but now you've left that little bit of paint around the outside hole. These are the things that keep me up at night. You can tell when I work on
I could see that as a possibility. However, if you painted it and you got clear coat in there, and your clear coat was, the limitation on the clip is based on the thickness of your panel, right? Because it has to spring. It has to spring once it gets past into the metal hole. It kind of springs open and
Okay.
grabs on. So if you piled in clear coat and then you drill the center, as you say, how thick is your clear coat? Is it going to stop the clip from even going in the hole?
Yeah, but is that the same if I would have just put 10 layers of clear on anyways, and then still did a 1/8 hole? I mean, then the thickness of the clear, I mean, that you're absolutely right. But if I would have just, again, it's moot because it's already done. I mean, it is what it is, but it was something I was thinking about. But I went out and bought a few things this week. I've got the 3M goop, so I can glue my seals on,
yes.
right? So I can put my trunk seals in.
Yep.
Now, last week there was a conversation about fog lights, and I had done the same thing as a lot of your everybody does. Is I put fogs on, and the car originally didn't have fogs, and the reason I wanted these, and people were saying it's for safety, and I agree, because I'm going to use these as daytime running lights, right? So the car always has lights on, so I don't have to turn the main headlights on. What I've done is very simply, you get a relay, right? So a relay is, as everybody knows what a relay does, is it allows you to activate something that draws a lot of current with a very low current supply. So you can tap into your fuse box and tap off of your radio or tap off of your heater, so that when the key is on, it activates the relay and of course then turns on the fog lights. Now in my case, I got a little bit rambunctious, and I've actually wired it so that when I turn the key on, the fog lights come on and are on all the time. But as soon as I pull the headlights on, it shuts down that relay, and therefore these go out when the headlights are on. And of course, I still have the headlight switch, the fog light switch, that I can still turn these on independently.
Interesting.
But again, for a safety thing, I thought that was actually a good idea to put these on, and that's why I did it. Now, for people who like to use the new modern LEDs, what I found is Truck Light. Now, Truck Light makes this model here, and this LED actually fits inside of, well, the 6768 fog lamp assembly. I don't know if that's the same for the newer or the older vehicles, like the 64, 65,
right.
66. I don't know if the assemblies are all the same. But at least it fits inside, because one set of LEDs I bought were just huge. I mean, you couldn't get them in there if you wanted to. So at least I know these ones fit. They're snug, but they fit, so that was the other thing that I did. Well,
that'd be cool. I mean, I know you're I feel like you're more of an electric guru than I am, by all means. I probably wouldn't even consider trying to do what you're doing with the relay and the switch and having it to the key and all that stuff. I would probably, in my case, avoid it. But
okay.
But I get it.
Yeah.
I can appreciate it for sure.
With me, I've changed my fuse box, right? So this fuse box is a
that's true. Yeah.
Fuse box, and I've got 50 amps going to it, so I can run everything off of it. But in an older vehicle, if you're adding fog lights, now if you go with the LEDs, the nice thing about these LEDs is that even when they're in full engagement, I believe they only need a 16 gauge wire, and they draw 0.7 of an amp. So not even 1 amp needed to fire these up. So you could probably wire them up so that you could put them right in with your key when your key is on.
Yeah.
I always like relays though, only because it does isolate, right? It takes that isolation away. And the reason you want that isolation is because if you do put a switch in, you don't want that switch turned on and then feed back power back into your key system. What you want is that relay in the center to kind of break that up. And that's why I have that relay.
That makes sense.
But like I said, so I found that these truck lights, so I mean, that's going to be 1.4 amps to run both of these lights all day long. So again, you don't really need a lot of wiring on that.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I may have to look into something like that. I've talked about on this my 68, since it has that air duct that I built into the lower valance, just putting one light in the middle, make it a Cyclops, that would light the road in front of me. And I'm really leaning maybe towards doing that even more as time goes on. I was looking at the other day thinking that would fit right there, and it wouldn't really hurt anything.
Yeah, you could do that, or even like I don't know, like a square LED panel. You know how you got the LED panels that are kind
Yeah,
of square, because you did a wonderful job of getting that beautifully rounded in there, and a lot of that aesthetics. Just to put that maybe up under the bumper or something. Again, I'm trying to remember the car, but just
right.
so that it shines out that area, and as you said, just lights the road up in front.
Yeah,
For me, it's always about visibility. I ride a motorcycle, and people just don't see them, and they're just getting so used to having cars coming at them that have lights on all the time. They've
right.
always got daytime lights. So when these things are running and you got no lights on, you're always worried some numbskull's going to pull out in front of you.
Yeah, yeah. I even worry about that with my regular car.
Well, and you were working on the car today. I was watching your video today, and the car is impacted in the front left, and yet that wrinkle shot right through that piece of metal all the way to the other side of the car. And I'm thinking to myself, all the work we've done to these things, these have got to be worse. I mean, you hit anything with this car, I bet you everything gets bent out of shape because everything's connected. There's not like body panel sitting on a frame. The
Right.
body panel is the body. So
Right.
if anybody pulls out in front and you hit them even at 5 miles an hour, I bet you the damage is devastating. You can't just replace the fender because that fender probably pushed the torque box, and that torque box pushed the floor pan. The floor pan moved the seat pan.
Well, we've talked about in the past on these, a straight on impact is going to be brutal on one of these. And a side by side, if it was somebody to catch the front end, I envision it as the frame rails basically collapsing because the
Yeah.
torque boxes are going to hold pretty much where they're at, and the frame rails are going to eat it. So, but like these cars, anything built in the last, what year is this? In the last at least 30 years, if not longer. They're designed to be consumable in a crash.
Yeah.
They only focus on keeping the passengers alive inside the car. And so, like when you're talking about this, that little bit of impact, had it hit the frame rail, it would have deployed the airbags inside the car, but it went above the rail. So everything there above it is soft. It's all designed to just go fall away, whereas like our cars, you're right. There's nothing soft. It is going to take that shot. And that's why we have collapsible steering columns. That's why we have seatbelts,
Yeah.
the things that they've incorporated in that time period. But like I think I've said it before, my dad's junkyard, I used to do my own like crash investigations as a kid. I would walk around and look at all these old cars and where they were hit and just try to find all the damage to see where it went. And it's just kind of a natural thing that I did. And I was always amazed that you would see an impact on the front end, and then you might see the dash caved in because the guy's knee went the other direction. From the reverse impact, he went forward when the car stopped, and the dash is crushed. And you're like, well, you try to think, well, how did that happen? And then you realize he crushed his leg in the process. Just kind of things like that.
Yeah. Well, so everybody out there knows, I've been working the car on and off. Up here in Canada, we've been having some fantastic weather. I mean, today was 15 degrees Celsius, which is ridiculous 65 or 66 degrees Fahrenheit, which is, unheard of for November. So I really haven't been doing a lot on the car, but I did come to a conclusion. When I'd originally painted this car, and everybody knows the heartache I had on this, painting a car is very difficult. I'd never painted before, especially metallic. So when I finally got the clear coat on this thing, and I saw that clear coat layout so beautifully, I thought to myself, you know what? That's it. I'm not going to cut and buff this car. Well, unfortunately, everybody who's watching this right now, and this is news to everybody because I just came up with it, I'm going to have to cut and buff the car. I hope I haven't waited too long, Barry. It's been about 3 weeks since the clear's been sprayed.
I think you're in a good window.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you're in a
It's
good
just
window.
that I went over the car today, and even though it really does look really good, and it's almost one of those good from far, but far from good, and it looks like I got to cut and polish. So I think I'm stopping the assembly process, and unfortunately, I may have to pull some of the things back off I put on. And this, I hope, is a life lesson for everybody. I mean, I try to get ahead, and you get impatient. You want to finish the car. I really want to just finish the car. It's been 2 years almost now. And I've gotten to the point now where I'm thinking to myself, but I'll regret it for the rest of my life. And so I'm going to start peeling a few pieces of chrome back off, and I'm going to hit it with 1,000. And now, what do you recommend? I guess 1,000 to start, just to knock everything down, and then do you go to like 1,500 and 2,000, or you just go to 1,500 and then break?
I've actually, the last time I did this car, I started with 1,000. I
Yeah.
went to 1,200, 1,500, 2,000,
Wow.
2,500. I did 3,000 on a DA, soft DA pad. And then I did 5,000 on a soft pad that was not on the DA, it was a block. So the reason I did that was it helps alleviate some of the effort of buffing. The smoother you have it, the less likely you're going to have some sort of swirl or a scratch, show up. So some people might go 1,000, 15, 2,000, 2,500 and then buff. And you can do that. But the higher you go on that scale, the more glass-like it becomes, and the better you are.
Was that all wet? Everything's wet?
Yep.
1,000 wet, 1,500, or sorry, 1,000, 1,200, 15, 2,000, 2,500, 3,000, all wet.
Yeah.
I mean, 3,000, that's got to be like newspaper. You might as well just put some newspaper on there. I mean,
It's believe it or not, though, you can see, the clear coat coming off. You can actually see it. And I did that on the DA. I took my DA with a soft face interface pad, a soft interface pad.
Yep.
And I put the foam pad, the 3,000 foam on top of that, and just it didn't take long doing it that way. And then the 5,000, it was actually, well, I still have it. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to this part of the process. Everybody who's watching, I mean, I was able to get the clear coat on very well, and I got lucky with that. And I know a few of you are building your paint booths, and absolutely do that, because it really protected the car, and it really allowed that paint to settle, no bugs, no dust. And I have just a few little ticks on my paint. So that's always that's a great thing as far as the clear coat, only a couple ticks, like, trash in it. But no matter how well it laid down after I had painted, and I don't know if it shrinks, and that's something, or I'm just getting more critical. But as it sat here over the last 3 weeks, as I've been putting chrome on, it's almost like the body is shrinking, or the clear is shrinking or something. And it just seems worse and worse to me. Every time I look at it, I just see more. And I don't know if it was always that bad and I was just blinded by love, or if it does get worse over time after you lay the clear down. That's over time, it recedes or pulls back. I don't know, but I got to cut and polish.
Yeah, it really shouldn't change. It shouldn't,
It's me.
Yeah, but like, this is the 5,000 that I was using. Okay.
Wow.
So this is Trizact 5,000. You can see the.
Okay, and you put that on a block, so it's got the foam
I put this
interface
on a
already
block.
built on it.
I put this on a rigid block, and and here's
And
something
then
else.
glass.
If you were to do this, there's even debate on the direction that you do this. Okay. So basically, your eye is going to flow front to rear, right? And I've been told, and I've had other people say, you should block sand front to rear. Don't go side to side.
So the whole X pattern stuff, that's out the window, right? The stuff that
pretty
you
much,
do when you.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry?
I don't think you want to do that when you're wet sanding, not clear coat.
Okay. All right.
I think the idea is that your flow, if there is any flaws, it's going to run lengthwise where your eye is naturally looking anyway.
Right.
Because of the length of the car, your eyes look that direction. If you go sideways, in effect, it feels like you're going against the grain, kind of like on a block of wood that you would, it might show up more. So if somebody, let's say you went sideways across the hood and then people were looking at it from the front, if there's any indication of a sideways scratch, it's going to show up more because you're looking across it rather than with it.
I see what you're saying. Yep.
So it's just kind of an extra visual type of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, here's some comments.
That means pulling the hood again.
I don't say no, I wouldn't pull the hood.
Well, it's the problem with it. Then if I'm going to be going lengthwise, I can go this way.
Yeah.
But this one here, I guess
you could do
anyway.
it. Here's a comment from Mr. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, slow down when you build one of these. I jumped ahead. I started putting things on. You just want that sense of completion. And
yeah.
In all honesty, I went too fast, and I got to slow myself down.
So Robert is saying the clear coat dies back over time as it outgasses. So he's saying it will reveal more.
So it will reveal more. So I'm not taking crazy pills like I thought I was.
And Dawn's manufacturer says it shrinks into imperfections. So he's saying that. And Mr. Cyrano, who paints, he says the longer the clear sits, the better. I'd say for a beginner to buff the car 1,500 and up. So he suggests you start with 1,500.
That's a good point, because I've heard, and the same thing I was going to talk about when I painted this car, is you can always go more. It's difficult to then, go less. So when I painted the car and I was painting, it's easier to do light coats and add more paint than it is to put that gun 3 inches from the deck and paint, because once you do that, you can't take it away. So it's easy to put on. So I get the point now. That's a good point. If I start with 1,000 and get myself into trouble, it's going to be hard to fix those scratches out. But if I start with 15 and I see how I go, and if I can get that done, even if it takes an extra 2-3 minutes in that area, at least at 15, the damage I could do, he's being polite, actually. He's saying the damage I could do is going to be less if I start with 15 than it will be if I get in there with a block and start hitting that with 1,000. So you know what? Let's do that. We're going to start them from the top down, and we'll only go down as far as we need to go in order to get maybe some of the bigger defects out. But if we can start with the 15 down and then go up from there, any scratches I put in, worst case scenario is that the black pad should be able to take that out.
Yeah.
But if I go too deep, now I'm talking lamb's wool and things like that, and I don't want to touch that, because apparently you can burn your paint and you can cut through with that crap. So I'm sticking with the foam only.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's better not to put 1,000 grits scratch in my paint. Good point. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to cover some other topics real quick here, just because I've had a lot of comments while we've been talking. So just hang in there just a minute. Rick was talking about the Mazda, saying it could have a bad catalytic converter, and that is a very good possibility. The car does have almost 300,000 miles on it. Shane, he says, I'm not saying people are dumb on here, but if he means soap, you should probably say soap. Well, it depends on what country you're from. We were talking about the surfactants, or surfactants, and I've never heard that word before, but that may be a word that is used in other countries, and we're just not familiar with it. So I wouldn't say a dumb thing. It's just we're not familiar with the word. So they could say we're dumb for not knowing. So it's kind of a fair trade-off there. Let's see. Hold on just a second. Dawn. Oh, it says to weigh Betsy, he drove to a closed truck weigh station. They leave the scales on so I could read the weights through the window. Okay. I don't know where I'd find one of those without going on the interstate or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with any places around here. Nick, I've been racking my brain trying to find a good seat that is also good for racing, non-recliner. I need it low, wide, and able to be braced to the roll bar, cross brace. Anyone have any suggestions? I don't, but I'm sure somebody does. Rick is saying 2004 Honda Civic is 1925 average trade-in. Okay. So we're not worried about that too much at the moment. Don says he needs the same seat. Okay. Rick, sorry, the second price is clean trading. Okay. Rick Gain, I put fog lights on my 65 coupe just because I thought they looked cool. And that's kind of the way it is. They like the way it looks. So they put those lights on there. And I get that. There's not a problem with that. Yeah. That does look cool, Wally. I it really does. Now, of course, I'm not a fan of that grill just because I'm not. Okay. I like the way it looks. It looks great and it's fantastic. But I like the clean grill with nothing on it, which is why I'm using the expanded metal from the Shelby. There's nothing. There's no lights, no center pony, no trim. It's just going to be black. And that's just the way I like it, So nothing wrong with that, though.
Oh, yeah, I know it's all taste. I mean, I spent hours straightening that thing out because it's all aluminum, right? And over the last 50 years, rocks have hit it, and each one of the things was bent, so you try to sit in there and you try to straighten them out. But no, I agree with you, yes.
Yeah. Nick is saying I'm guessing Wally used to be an electrician or involved with electric type stuff. He's pretty knowledgeable about that stuff. All I see when he talks is mass symbols flying like a sitcom. So he's got like stuff flying over past his head. Rick says the fog light kit I got from 65 came with a relay as part of the wiring harness. My engine bay harness is from a GT, so it was also wired properly to accept the fog light connections. I did not know that. So good information. Now, Roger was commenting about we were talking about the holes in the panel and drilling holes to a certain size. Now, I realize what he's saying, and I know he probably chose the wrong numbers here, but he was saying he might consider a number drill size, number 38 or 39, will give you a few thousandths of an inch for paint. So when you're saying 5/32, in the machining industry, you have drill bits that go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The number is a lot tighter than the dimensional scales. So if you go 1/8 inch, 5/32, you start stepping into those. The number system, it's more of a decimal where it's like 0.078, 0.079 type of thing, where it's much more refined. So on a drill index, that's what he's saying. And I think further down he commented like a 29-bit or a 30-bit. So like, and I want to say a 30 is an 1/8 inch. I could be wrong. Maybe a 29 is actually an 1/8 inch, and a 30 is a, point, whatever it is, 0.126 or something like that, to where it's just a hair bigger. But that might be a consideration if you had the drill indexes, and you could go, well, let's see, the paint is roughly this thick. If I drill the hole to, this one, a number 32 instead of a 30, to give me that little bit of space, and yet the paint fills it back in. So just a little more way to make it complicated.
It was only because, like I said, the whole idea of me reaming out the hole after I had painted it, just so that I had to go get more paint to cover the metal, because I just exposed the metal. And again, I was thinking maybe like a 9/64, right? Which would be 1/64 of an inch bigger than an 1/8.
And that's what we're talking about, that number system.
Yeah.
That's how that breaks it down, and it goes to decimal equivalents. So
yeah, see, I'm an old man. So for me, I can't stand metric. That's number one. I live in a country that adopted metric 20 years ago, and I hate it every minute, or 40 years ago. What am I talking about? And I deal in inches and fractions. I can't stand metric.
Well, but the decimal, that's the fraction of the point.
Yeah, that's right. It's a decimal of an inch. Yeah, my micrometer does the same thing to me all the time. It shows me in decimal inches. And so now I got to take a conversion chart to go from decimal inches to fractions, because again, it's like Fahrenheit and Celsius. I can't correlate one to the other. I know what 68 degrees Fahrenheit is, but what's 18 degrees Celsius, right? So this is the thing, right? So it's the same thing with this. The decimal inches, I'd rather have fractions of an inch. It's just, I can visualize that?
Well, see, like here is like a machinist drill index, okay, or drill box.
Okay.
And so, the numbers, like a number 30 bit is actually a 0.128. So that is like an eighth inch, but it's 3 thousandths over an eighth inch.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So the there is not actually a 0.125 in this case, in this upper index. The numbers go 30, 31, 32, 33, right? So you go from that. So a 30 is 0.128, a 31 is 0.120 going down in scale. So the bigger the number, the smaller the decimal.
So it's like wire gauge.
I guess. Yeah.
Like a 0 gauge wire is the size of my, thumb, but
right.
18 gauge wire is, small.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, that's what he's referring to is this.
Okay. Well, it's a great point. I love his point because, like I said, it's just the idea that we're drilling a hole in the back of the car so we can mount the lettering just so that we can ream the hole out in order to be able to have to put paint back in there. I just thought if they could make that hole just that little bit bigger. Now, you still got to go in there and ream it with a 1/8 because you got to make sure the hole's a 1/8 to the clip.
Right.
But again, that'll leave that little bit of paint around the outside. And then there's a second thing, and I ran into exactly what you did, Barry. The T is crooked. Those two holes on the T are perfectly straight up and down. So if you get any bit walk, that one hole just has to be askew by a little bit. And when you snap that T in, and the one thing I've got is a good eye for this. I mean, I can, look at something and tell you where the center of that is, because my eye, I can see the length of a pipe or something, and I can say that center, pick it up, and I bet you that center. So as soon as I see that T, and I can tell that top is just leaning.
Just a bit.
Now, I thought if the hole was a little bit bigger, that would just give you that little bit of, if you're going to drill it with a 1/8, go left or go right, and you'd be able to adjust. So that was point 2, is that a larger hole. But anyways, so it's more of just lessons learned, just trying to help everybody who can so that.
Well, here's the thing, though. The reality is that the factory deck lid?
No, this is an aftermarket. I had to drill it.
Oh, you had to drill
it? It was me. Yes, the hole was not.
I was going to blame the guy. I was going to blame the guy on the assembly line, just kind of going through his motions,
No,
but
no, this was an aftermarket hood, or deck or trunk lid. So I had to drill the holes for the rear trim piece, which is another story. And I had to drill all the holes for the lettering. And again, the T is a little crooked, I can live with, but basically that was the problem is that drilling all of those holes and then making sure the letters line up properly, that was a pain in the butt.
Yeah, I could see that, I would be like, I don't think it's a T on mine. I think it's the N.
I think it was your N, yes.
But I can't see it when I'm driving,
That's true.
That doesn't matter.
Another movie reference for you. What's behind me is not my concern. So, see there. Well, we all got the Abby Normal. That was the best line in that movie. I tell you, Abby something. Yeah. So yes, Gumball Rally?
What movie was that?
Gumball. The Gumball Rally?
Oh, Gumball Rally. Okay. Yeah.
He rips the rear view mirror off. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
What's behind me is not my concern.
Yeah.
So yes, same thing with the lettering. It's behind me. I can't see it.
Yeah.
So that's fine. But so everything's going good. Literally, I'm going to be set back now. So buffing and cutting, I have no clue. I have no clue how long it's going to take me. I've got no expertise in this. The only thing is I know I've got some good equipment. So that is at least working on my side, but whether or not it's going to take me a week or whether or not it's going to take me 2 weeks to cut and buff this entire car, because again, there's another video of you standing beside your car. I think it was I don't remember, it was episode 76. It's like a mirror. I mean, your quarter panel is reflecting out your door. Your door is open, and I guess you were working on the lighting and putting the backup lights in or something. Maybe that was it. You were putting the backup lights in, so your camera is shooting this way, and that rear quarter panel. I mean, I could read a newspaper off of that. You know,
yeah.
so I'm, you know, whether or not I can get this thing to that point, and so just letting everybody know again. I mean, no matter how well you do on the clear, and I did a lousy. I mean, again, I've never painted a car. But the idea is that I agree that I guess it is shrinking back. It is getting worse because it's really starting to bother me, but I don't know if it's me because I'm just fixating, because that happens to me. I'm a little OCD on that. Or is it getting worse? And I'm thinking it's getting worse. So it's got to be cut and buffed. So that's the next couple of weeks, I guess. And then we'll get back to assembling this thing. I got months now, right? Winter's coming. I mean, we're getting snow next week, apparently. So that'll be it.
So you're not driving anywhere anyway?
I'm sorry?
You're not going to drive anywhere anyway?
I'm not going anywhere anyways. And by the time the salts are back off the road, it'll be March, maybe April. So before I want to even take this out on the road, because I don't want to get crap all over it. So it'll probably be March or April before I could drive it anyways. So that's 5 months. So yeah. I guess I can take my time.
Well, you know, it's funny. I'm not really the show car kind of person. You know, I like to have a night. I like to finish it, be done with it. Okay, great. Give me something else. But
yeah,
my hindsight, Roger lives next door. We took the Mustang for a drive, and we were just going out to see, you know, give it a kind of run and whatever. And I went. We were driving down the road, and I recognized a road that I had been on before that was kind of a narrow road, and I already knew that the pavement ended and it became a gravel road. I already knew that.
Oh yeah.
But I said, hey, I want to show you something. And I just turned down that road. Boom. I'm driving, and I'm just talking to Roger, and there's like, you're just tink, 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 tink. I was like, huh, maybe I shouldn't be on this road.
I shouldn't be on this road.
So I had to turn around, and it was dirt, you know, and stuff. And I just slowly drove back out of there.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like, stuff's going to happen. You know, we all worry about it being perfect or trying to get it as perfect as we can, but you're going to be driving this car too. So even though, you know, there's some things that bug you, eventually there's going to be a scratch. Eventually there's going to be a rock chip. Eventually there's going to be something that you really just have to go, well, yep, there it is. You know,
oh, you get them all the time. I mean, you know, you're driving down the highway and you hear the big clink and bang and smack off your windshield or off your body panels. Yeah, no, and I accept that. And like I said, I know this is not a trailer queen. This is literally a driver. It was designed for that. But as I said before, I mean, it's just that I was going to put it together as is, but I just, you know, like I said, I've got to cut and buff it, and that's all it is.
I understand.
It's going to look good and then get scratched, so be it. But basically, I've got to cut it. So
yeah.
But I love the feedback. I am going to do 15 start, and let's see, because I can always move up.
Yeah.
But once you start with 1,000, you really can't, you can't do anything now. You know, you've got those cuts into that paint, in the clear. So I think I've got 4 coats of clear. So I can probably sacrifice 2 of them, and we should be okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, we'll see what happens.
Well,
like, it's not that bad. I'm hoping that I don't need to take 2 of them off. Maybe I'm hoping just 1.5, but we'll see.
Yeah. I think you'll get it. You'll get it. It'll look good.
Well, I appreciate the feedback, like I said. But if anybody has any questions, you know, you can go through Barry's channel and ask away. Like I said, you know, the fog lights, they fit. I've got all the other lights. I've got a whole table full of crap over there. I've still got it, but like I said, all that's on hold now. And I don't know if I'm going to be putting up an update too much on my site only because I'm just going to be cutting and polishing now. And why watch me when they can watch you, right? So that's why I have videos. Don't watch me do this. Watch Barry do it because he does a much better job than me. But I'm going to be cutting and polishing, and then we'll start reassembling in a week or two.
Okay.
I'm hoping a week, but it might be 2.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it, and
Well,
I'm
thanks,
sure you are
Gary.
too.
Like I said, I'll let you get back to the team. And guys, thank you for all your feedback. I am going to well, going to start cutting tomorrow morning. So let's see what happens.
All right. We'll see you,
All right,
Wally.
everyone.
Glad you were here.
Take care.
See you. All right. That was cool. Nice to see an update from Wally and what he's got going on, and thoughts and ideas that we can share amongst ourselves and help out each other. So I'm glad we got feedback on the sanding and buffing process. So I'm sure that'll help Wally out whenever he's doing his project, or doing the cutting and buffing. So let me see who else is here and what else has been said. Boogie Bum, maybe out of order, but next is replacing right hand front, inner apron, and battery tray. Thanks, Barry, for the Mystique videos that show the process. You are welcome, sir. You are more than welcome. Dave Britton, we are so used to seeing cars in Canada with running lights that I think Wally has made a very good choice to put them on the Mustang. People are used to it. It is a good idea. Dawn says, feedback, Wally. That's what diodes are for. Diodes. Oh, he's talking about hooking up some electrical stuff, I think. Nick, I should finish my engineering school just for this conversation. This was my moment to shine. Well, that's all right, Nick. I'm glad you were here. Ray, that's what I worry about with the Corvette. Can they see me since no lights on it and sit so low? Yes. And that is a good concern, I had a friend who had a 69 Corvette, or has a 69 Corvette, and he got rear-ended on the interstate. And it was some, let's say, illegal migrant worker with no insurance, no driver's license, no nothing, driving a dump truck or something, and plowed into the back of his really nice 69 Corvette. So, yeah, it is a genuine concern. Don is talking to Nick. So he's going to talk about seats there. Shane, disconnect the doodad to the donkey until you get a banjo sound. And that's a very efficient way of doing that. I agree. Dawn, that's cool, Barry. I did the same thing, walk around in Rickyard with my dad. Yeah, I did it. I did it all on my own, and just was really fascinated by the whole thing. I used to, and I really hate to admit to this, but I used to take pictures of. I didn't want to take pictures. I took pictures of certain car wrecks, and it wasn't to share and like point out and say that somebody goes killed in this or anything like that. It was literally for me to look at the pictures. If I was like near an accident scene and I had my little digital camera, I would snap photos and then look at the accident and try to envision how it happened. Because if you ever see two cars in an accident in an intersection, and you look at this car and it's facing 270 degrees from the way it was, and you try to do the math and say, which way was it going? But when it got hit, those kind of things. And I just think it's fascinating that when cars impact, how much rotational force you have and the change in direction and all that stuff. I think I would have really enjoyed being a crash investigator. Roger is saying 29 or 30 bit. Yeah. I kind of covered that when you were talking about it. Nick, you should make a video of that. The local shop I have here doesn't really keep anything but standard-ish Kirkies and poly seats. Oh, talking about car seats. Okay. And Nick says that's a nice blue, Wally. Yes, that's Acapulco blue. Between Gulfstream Aqua and Acapulco blue, I'm really almost even on the like scale. So just really love those colors. Fly Poo is checking in. Glad you're here. Mr. Cyrano, longer to clear the better. Oh, the better. I think you're saying the longer you let the clear harden, the better is what I'm guessing you're saying. I'm assuming. Nick saying Wally comes out and his car is like 1/5 scale. Okay, we're talking about the shrink of the clear. Okay, Mr. Cyrano says the longer the clear the sets, the better, and the 1500. Yes. Hiram, DA, dual action. If you really want to know how to shine metal, you can watch my playlist on how to polish metal if you got the patience because my editing sucks, among other things. Interesting. Interesting. I'm not into polishing metal, let's say, but that could be interesting. So thank you for that. Yes, and DA is dual action. Mr. Stewart and I work for Carroll Shelby. I can wet sand a car at 1500 period and buff it out perfect. They were pulled out and in the sun and inspected, so I know they were perfect. Good. Good. I'm not that good. Mr. Chernoy says he loves the foam pads. Yes. Dawn's manufacturer saying number 30 bit is 0.128. Yes, correct. Mason Fox, hey Joe Daddy's Garage, how's it going? It's going good. Going good. And Roger is saying number 30 is 0.1285 and 29 is 0.136. Now we're splitting hairs. So Hiram's talking about the structure, the CCS pads. Sounds interesting. Robert, none of the letter bits are close. Sorry, I had to bring up letter bits. Okay. And Roger's saying 3.5 millimeter might be perfect for that drill, for drilling those holes. And Hiram, Tractor Supply's 115 drill bit index might not be that great, but when it's on sale, it's worth it just for the case holding the bits. It's beautiful for holding more expensive jobber length bits. Okay. Thank you for that. If I ever notice it on sale, maybe I'll look into it. Shane, got to go. I'll be here next Monday. All right. Glad you were here. Ed, on the holes for the barrel inserts, I have seen ones with seal on them to seal the hole. That's a good point. That is a good point. Dawn is saying some cars get meaner with age. Yeah, like we do, like any of us. And Rick, Barry, did you ever hear any updates about the status of the stray pony? No, I have not. I think he had sent me some pictures of that car, but I have not heard anything more on it. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it. I haven't even thought about that. Mr. Cherno was talking to Wally. When are you going to start wet sanding the car? I think he's going to do it. Start on it tomorrow morning. Boogie Bum, 45 people watching and only 20 likes. Hit the thumbs up for the great conversation. Yes. By all means, Crash Rider, driving Jade on a gravel road and you worry about getting her rained on. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't worry about the rain, but you know, it's like the rain. Here's the thing. The rain we have now is like acid rain, it seems. It'll leave spots on anything, you know? And again, I'm not into doing all the detail. I don't like to detail all the stuff. So, you know, anytime you get spots on a car, you're like, oh man, I got to really do something to clean that up. But yeah, driving on a gravel road, probably not the best choice. Probably not. Roger, I split hairs for a living, though. It's a curse. Yes. And Dawn, something people should have a healthy respect for is mass and inertia. Good point. You could probably throw momentum in there, I guess, too. I guess. I don't know if we consider momentum and inertia the same. I don't think so. But yeah. And it is amazing whenever you see two cars and just the, you know, we've all seen videos where a car gets hit by a semi truck and it explodes, and you know, just pieces and parts flying everywhere. It's just crazy. Let's see, Phil. How about just saying I sanded the Holden by hand from 2000 to 4000, then use a compound by hand too. I'm scared to cut through. Yeah. I understand that. Dave, I missed a bunch of Cars Coffee. Do you still have the BP? It's still in my garage at this point. It's still in my garage, but that's probably going to be changing pretty soon. Robert, the problem with the rain here in Texas is that there's so much dirt in the air all the time that it constantly blows in from West Texas, so the car ends up looking really bad. Yeah. And Nick says, rain is how I wash my car. Yep, that lazy. Well, as long as you're not talking about your Mustang. I know you're not talking about your Mustang. Unless you're out there while it's raining and you're, sudsing it up and all that stuff. But all my regular cars, yeah, I generally don't wash them. They're just, right now the little red Focus or red Honda Fit that I'm driving, if I wash it, it'll just bring off all the clear coat because all the clear coat's coming loose anyway. So that's where it'll just continue to take that stuff off. Clark, I've washed my F-150 twice. I've owned it for 15 years. I can tell you this. At one point in time, the first brand new vehicle I bought was a 91 Chevy Silverado V6 5-speed. First brand new vehicle I bought. So I like that truck a lot. I liked it a lot. I like it a lot. And so I ended up putting a 2-inch drop on that to get to bring the truck down the level. So I lowered the rear 2 inches. I put 8-inch rally wheels on that thing, 60 series tires, whatever they were at the time, BF Goodrich 60 series. The truck was black with red interior, and I had all the windows tinted. It was just a super duper clean truck. And it was because it was a V6 5-speed, it was good on gas and just a great little truck. But I loved that truck. Like I said, it was my first new vehicle. And when I cleaned that truck, I cleaned that truck. I would wash the outside. I would wash all the door jambs, clean all the interior. I would crawl underneath the truck and I would wash the floor pans, as far as I could reach on the firewall, inner wheel wells. I would scrub all that stuff out of there. I never sprayed any kind of junk on it, never sprayed any whatever, none of the spray on silicone junk. I just kept that truck spotless. And it was a great truck. It was a great truck. And then we realized that we couldn't, keep having kids and have a simple 2-door pickup truck. So I had to sell it. Had to sell the truck, unfortunately. But I sold it. It only had 18,000 miles on it or something. It was a great truck. And I still like those trucks. The 91, because I think 88 and 89 and 90, I think had the split headlights. And 90 or 91 is when they come out with a composite single headlight. Anyway, I really like that truck. And Nick said, of course, I'm not talking about my Mustang. Doesn't even have paint yet. Well, and Rain-X. Well, Rain-X does work. Put it on your windshield. It works. Robert, we have drive-through car washes on every corner like Starbucks, and you get monthly unlimited wash passes starting at $15. Wow. Yeah, I'm not that motivated. Nick, I used to wash my truck religiously until it hailed one day. After that, I turned into Lieutenant Dan yelling at God that he missed a spot and just didn't care anymore. Well, that's one thing. This truck that I had, I mean, it was sharp. I think I have a picture of it somewhere. But it was a really sharp truck. I peeled off on those trucks. They had a big aluminum Chevrolet thing on the tailgate, and I peeled that off so it was just smooth. Little things, but and it's hard to find those trucks now in good condition. A lot of them were just beat up and abused and never taken care of. So I saw one at the Cruise In earlier this summer. It was a red 350 automatic truck, clean as a whistle. And it was like a 90, I think it might have been a 92 model. And you just don't see them anymore like that. It feels kind of weird to think that, That is what, a classic truck now? 92, 2002, 2012. Truck's almost 30 years old. Or it would be 31. My 91 would be 30 years old, or 31 next year. And you think about that. Those are now classics. Classics. But people are still fixing them up. So that's a good thing. Okay. It is now an hour and a half into it. And there happens to be a football game on that I want to watch tonight. Don't take it the wrong way. I just happen to want to watch the football game is on tonight. I don't get to watch many football games. You know, we don't pay the extra for the channels. So I'm going to probably be cutting this off here just shortly. Nick, well, I just bought a new F-150, so it's getting the frequent washes as of now. But if it gets in a freaking hailstorm, it's getting a Silverado treatment. Yeah. Nick, yeah, Fox bodies are classics. Kills me. Yes. Yeah, you think about it now, the time period. They're classics. Classics. Ugh. Okay. I'm going to call it a night. I'll be back on Thursday. I want to thank Wally for participating, joining the chat. All of you that have been here and leaving comments and answering questions and all that stuff. I appreciate all of you being here. But I'm going to call it a night, and I'll be back on, like I said, Thursday at 3. I'm probably going to have to may have to run to some sort of local paint store to get some paint for this Honda. So there's little things I have to take care of. And I have another VA appointment on Thursday as well. So hopefully this one goes better than the last one. We'll find out. But again, thanks for being here. And until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.